Welcome to Measuring Success Right, the official student-led podcast of the Marriott Student Review, where we connect the leaders of tomorrow with the issues of today.
I'm so happy to have you here, Brianna. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to do this, and I'm so honored that you thought of me to do this. It means a lot. Thank you.
Of course, I was going to think about you. And let's talk a little bit about who is Brianna. So for you guys to know, Brianna, she is working in Mischief. She's an art director in this company. She's a graduate of BYU, and she actually applied to many positions in New York, and she got it to live the dream, be there, being able to express her thoughts and feelings through art while she's working in advertising at the same time. And also she's an entrepreneur. She has her own company, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. So I'm glad to have you here today. I want to ask you, why did you choose advertising? What made you feel that that was the path you had to follow when you came to BYU?
So I originally started at BYU as an art student. My major was art education. So I was planning on being a high school art teacher is what I wanted to be originally. And the reason I switched to advertising is because I saw that BYU had posted like a video reel of all of the work the advertising program had done that year. And it made me so excited and just really inspired. And I knew that I wanted to make that kind of stuff. And I knew all my life I've always been really creative. I've liked photography and art, but I haven't really found a path that has all of that. And I figured as an art teacher, I could teach people that. But I didn't know that through advertising, I could do that as a career and get paid very well for it. And so that's when I switched to advertising, and it's been super fun.
That's crazy. Thank you for sharing that. How was your professional path? I remember you told us a little bit that you started with your internship working with Pira, and you continue looking for opportunities. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So I started working at a tech company in Utah called Pura about my junior year of end of junior year of college and the beginning of my senior year. And I started out as a junior graphic designer there. And I was working on just pretty basic stuff, social media, ads and things like that for Pura. Eventually became a graphic designer at Pura. And this was around the time that I was graduating. And that's when I was trying to decide, do I want to stay in graphic design and stay at this job that I have at Pura in Utah? Or do I want to pursue my degree in advertising? And so eventually that's when we decided to make the jump, and I would start interviewing at places. And at the time, this was a year after the pandemic. And so it was kind of harder to find a job. And so I came to the conclusion that I would have to do an internship, even though they don't pay super well. I knew that if I wanted to get into advertising and eventually have a higher paying job, that I would have to do an internship first. And so I got an internship at an advertising agency called Fallon. And at the time, they gave me the option to either move to New York, move to their office in Minneapolis in Minnesota, or I could work remote. And I knew that if I had the opportunity to be around people and people could meet me and get to know me, that I would have a better chance of being hired full time. And so me and my husband just decided that we were going to make the full jump and go 100% and move to New York City. And that's what we did. And after a few months of working at Fallon, I was hired full time as an art director. And I worked at Fallon for 11 months. And that's when I got the job at Mischief. So that's where I am now.
That's amazing. I want to ask you, what made you feel to give that jump? Because I know a lot of people feel like a little bit scared of leaving their comfort zone. What made you actually made that decision to do that jump?
So working at Pura, I loved it there. It's a really good company, and I was perfectly comfortable there, and they were paying me okay. They were paying me enough to survive in Utah, and I would have been perfectly fine if I stayed there. But I felt deep down that I wasn't creatively fulfilled, and so that's when I started considering advertising. And I think when you're asking about like the jump, I think we came to Heavenly Father in prayer and we said like, if I want to work in advertising and if I want to get these things, I'm going to have to make this sacrifice and be paid very little. And we just need, like, we're going to have full faith that you are going to take care of us and that everything is going to work out because this is what feels right. And we just kind of waited for that confirmation. Oh, and we said, if I get this internship and if I find an apartment and my husband finds a job, if all of those three things align, then that is a solid answer for us that we need to move to New York City. And we were fully expecting like moving to New York City might not happen and it will be very hard for my husband to find a job and it will be very hard for us to find a place with like such a small income. But all of those things happened within like 2 weeks. And so that was a very clear answer that we needed to just do it. And so we took that as an answer and we just ran with it. And so everything ended up working out and we just trusted that Heavenly Father was going to take care of us because we had that faith and we were paying our tithing and that's what happened. And even though it was hard a lot of times at the very beginning while I was an intern with making enough money here in New York City, it was we survived and it worked out.
And that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that experience. Actually, one of the values that we have as a Meredith School of Business is faith in Christ. I know sometimes coming from BYU, it's a value that we actually take for granted. Like, yeah, we have faith. But have you seen faith in action in the life of an art director in New York?
Yeah. So I've learned so much about who I am and my character and my own testimony living here in New York because it is so different to be a member of the church here in New York City. Where I work at my advertising agency, people have very different values than I do, which is perfectly fine. Like people just live their lives differently than I do. But because we are so different, sometimes it's very easy to feel like I am an outsider or I am the weird one in my agency because I am religious and I live my life in a different way than they do. But I think in a way that I think God just really helps me and gives me a lot of just comfort and knowing that if I continue to live my life this way and I don't succumb to what everyone else is doing, that like I have more good in store for me and a lot more blessings come. And so I think having faith, despite being so different from everyone else, has just really helped me keep going and is what helped us like be able to be here and makes the hard things a lot easier.
Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. And actually, it touches one of the other values that we have in my business school, that is respect for all. And sometimes it's hard where there's so many differences, but living in an environment so diverse like New York City, it's something that we have you have to develop. And how do you see this factor of respect for all working in your life now that you have this chance to work in an environment so diverse?
Yeah, I think it's just acknowledging that every person has a different story and everything that person brings to the table is what makes our world so beautiful and is what makes work so interesting and just unique and diverse. And so it's very important to have a wide variety of different people working in the workplace because that's what makes work so much better. And I think if we were all to be the same, work would fall flat and be less interesting and a little more boring. And so I'm really grateful to work with such different people. And even like my ward, where everyone believes in Jesus Christ and is a part of the church here in Brooklyn, everyone is still so different and so diverse that it makes our ward so much stronger and so much more beautiful. I feel like I learned so much more from church lessons and Relief Society and just about community and friendship because everyone is so different and their backgrounds are what make them so interesting and beautiful.
That's amazing. And actually, you yourself, you're half Ecuadorian, half American. How do you feel that contribute to who you are as a person right now and as a professional?
Yeah, I feel like I bring a different perspective to the table because of what I've been through in my life and what my family has been through. And I feel like there have been multiple times that I've worked on projects that have to do with Ecuador or have to do with Spanish. And it's those moments that I really feel like, oh, this is why I am meant to be here in my job, is because I have a perspective that no one else in this room has. And I'm really thankful for that. Like we had, there was one project that we did in the ad lab at BYU. And I was the only Hispanic person that was working on this brief. And so it was really cool to work on that and really special. And so I'm very grateful for my background. And I think my background has given me a lot of opportunities and a lot of blessings that I wouldn't have had if I didn't have this diverse background.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that, Brianna. Finally, I also wanted to ask you, what are some things that you consider now that you're professionally working were valuable when you were studying here at BYU? What are those some small things that you would take and consider now, oh, this was something that I really appreciate that I had at BYU?
I think something that it's important that I recommend to students at BYU is to find a mentor, to find someone that they can trust and someone that has been in the career that you want so that they can give you advice and help direct you and lead you to get to where you want to go. I have several mentors that I have so much gratitude for that have given me advice and helped me get to where I am now. And also just like remember your values and don't give up your values for just trying to fit in or trying to be cool. Like I think having values that are special to you are what ground you and give you comfort when things are hard. And so those are my main pieces of advice.
Thank you for listening to the Measuring Success Right podcast. If you like this episode, please share it with a friend and subscribe so you don't miss the next interview. The Measuring Success Right podcast is a production of the Marriott Student Review. This episode was produced by Stuart Bird, Allison Pope, Sarah Bird, Taya Wolf Hobson, and Jackson Berthold. Sound design and audio engineering by James Call. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not reflect the official views or opinions of Brigham Young University or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.